So, this book came about from a conversation with my amazing editor, Lee Wade. And she had this idea about what does it mean to be a kid in kindergarten? You're learning new things, you're experiencing a whole new world. What does that mean? And of course, I'm a kindergarten teacher. I've been a kindergarten teacher for 18 years. So I know a little bit of what it's like to be in kindergarten. And I thought about what a kid in kindergarten might feel like on the first day. They might have that tummy nervousness feeling. They might feel super confident and excited. So then I started talking to my husband, and my husband is an introvert. He's very quiet and he's very shy. And he doesn't really like to be around a lot of people. And that got me thinking, what was my husband like when he was in kindergarten? And you know what? He was just like Leo. So I was inspired by my husband telling me what school was like for him, but I know him to be one of the most kind, sweet, helpful people, even though he's not loud and silly and outgoing. And I thought about what little my husband would look like in a story. And so I took my conversation with Lee and I took my husband and we put them together. And that's how we got kindergarten. Now, my collaboration process with Joey, the most wonderful illustrator, was non-existent. We did not talk during the process. We didn't share ideas. And I am so glad we did it because the magic of storytelling lives in the skills of both the author and the illustrator. And so the author takes their skill set, which is usually writing the words, and the illustrator takes their skill set, which is drawing the pictures, and they both do it to tell a story. And the magic happens when they can do it on their own, but come together to show the story happening all at once. And so there are things in the story that I never wrote down that Joey was so great about picking up on and showcasing through the illustrations that my words never did, that I really needed his illustrations to do. I have a little secret for you. I want you to go through the story and watch Leo's hoodie from the beginning to the end of the story. And I want you to see what happens through the illustrations, just the story that's happening with Leo and this hoodie. And that was never written down. It was never something I discussed. That was something Joey did all on his own. And I think that's a little bit of the magic that comes from not talking about what we're thinking as authors and illustrators.
So my agent sent me the book written by Vera, and I instantly just love the stories. And I saw her social media. I love how colorful it is, like her personalities and the way how she show all different kinds of outfits. So I was in love with her style instantly. And the collaboration was super easy. Vera was very open-minded, and she just had this sort of really colorful style that I just love, and I try to mimic that personality into the book.
I think one of my most favorite things about kindergarten is seeing the growth that happens from each kid. So, of course, everyone's different. So, everyone comes into school maybe knowing how to tie their shoes or not knowing how to tie their shoes or knowing how to read or not knowing how to read or knowing to spell their name or not knowing how to spell their name or whatever their strengths are. They all come in at different levels. And what is so cool is seeing maybe a kid who couldn't even hold a pencil. By the end of the year, not only are they holding that pencil, they are writing stories. Or a kid who never knew all of the sounds of the alphabet, by the end of the year, they could tell you all of those sounds and they could read you words. And I think that magic is so special and unique. It's the reason why I just love kindergarten so much.
Um, my middle school teacher, Mrs. John, she was always encouraging me to try different art media from like oil paintings, watercolor, markers, pencil, all kinds of different things. So it was really uh, great to try different things to see what sticks, and it really helped me kind of using art as a way to express feelings and creativity. So that was a really good time in my creative career. Not creative career. I think that was a good time for me to kind of be more open minded about different media and trying different things.
So my whole family is full of educators. Are you ready? My mom was a teacher. My dad was a teacher. My grandma was a teacher. My grandpa was a teacher. My great grandpa was a teacher and a principal and a bus driver. My aunt is a teacher. So I have teachers all through my life. And when I was in school going to college, I wanted nothing else but to never ever be a teacher because I was so sick of it. Imagine hearing something your whole life and seeing everybody do something. I wanted something of my own. So when I went to college, I went to college to be a doctor. And I took you take quizzes and tests when you're in school, and the same when you go to college if you decide to go to college. And when I went, I took a test and I failed. I got a big 0. And I was so sad. And I called my mom and I said, Mom, I got a 0. What do I do? She said, Did you ever think about maybe taking a teaching course? I said, Mom, no, but maybe I will. Because I had never made a 0 my whole life. So I was really distraught. So I signed up for a teaching course, and it was early in the morning, and I hate waking up early. I just want to sleep all day. So I went to this class early, and I was so grumpy because I was waking up early and I had to sit in this class and I didn't even want to be a teacher. Mm. And then my teacher, Miss Marcia, came out and was so excited that we were all there. And she was so happy to help us on this journey to become educators that I just could not believe that a teacher this early in the morning, could be excited to see me. I'm just I would think I was like 19, 20 at the time. She was excited that I was in her class this early in the morning. And I wanted that magic. I wanted a kid to feel like I felt by being in her class. And so, even though I'm sure my family inspired me as educators, I was really inspired to go down the path of becoming a teacher because of that one teacher early morning, who just, she showed me that teaching could be inspirational and not just, telling kids what to do all day. And she started me on my path.
Uh, yeah, so I had to dig through a bunch of old photos of mine when I was in kindergarten, just kind of remind me of what the environment looks like, as well as researching what current kindergarten classroom look like. There was just so many really interesting inspiration from my research. Just like all the teacher had very unique style and decorating a classroom to be fun and colorful and memorable for the kids. So I tried to add a little bit of everything into it.
So kindergarten was created during 2020 when the COVID pandemic started. And I was living with my husband, still live with my husband, but at the time we were living in a 2-bedroom apartment in New York City. And it was very small. And we were like one of 4 in a building. And everybody had left the building because they had left because COVID came. So they had gone back home or they had gone to another place. And so we were the only ones in our building. It was very quiet. But I never had my own space to work. I would either have to work on a couch in the living room or in the bedroom. And I felt like still felt like conflicted and confined, and I couldn't like just sit and write. And so my husband and I talked about it, and we decided that once a month I could rent a hotel room, and it would just be to work on writing, and it would be my quiet space for 2 nights. And so that was the way I showed myself a little bit of kindness. I got a hotel room, and no one was really staying in hotels either because they weren't traveling. So I got a hotel room, and I would sit in that hotel room and I would order some yummy food, and I would just get my laptop out and I would write, write, write. And so most of the kindergarten story was never written at my home. It was written in a bunch of hotels all over Brooklyn and New York.
Uh, I think the daily uh, playing with my dogs and trying to observe kind of from animal point of view keeps me curious about the world and things around me, and so that everyone's point of view is very different and what they experience, and which creates very different stories and image and visual ideas. So for me, that's like a way to keep me curious. What are some ways you show yourself kindness while creating this book? While I created this book, I try to take breaks and not to be a perfectionist, because I think a lot of artists, we were very critical on our drawings or paintings and wanted everything to be perfect. But I wanted to show the playfulness of the book, so I tried to keep myself relatively loose in terms of when I creating shapes, color, and forms, and then kind of retain that kind of playfulness.
That is such a good question. I'm not, I'm sure there are a lot of acts of kindness that I've been on the receiving end. That have happened to me. I just can't think of a specific one right now. But what I can think about is how somebody else's acts of kindness have inspired me to be kind. And I remember watching a video of this woman who had recently had a baby, and she was traveling with this newborn on a plane. And so she passed out these little baggies to the people around her of like candy and treats, and a note that just said, I apologize if the baby disrupts your travel. And I thought that that was really kind, but then it got me thinking about the flight attendants and the pilots who fly our planes, and I wonder if people do anything for them other than, say thank you when you get off the plane. So I started, because I was inspired by that act of kindness, I started anytime I'm on a very long trip, so something more than 3 hours, I buy bags of candy and snacks and I give it to the flight attendants when I go on the plane as just a like, thank you. I know this is hard. Here's a little treat for you. And that just started helping me think about how people take care of us in different places and how kindness can look a lot of different ways, as Leo showed us. But sometimes we really should think of the people who take care of us in our life in the little places that we can.
Um, Back in 2010, I did a backpacking through New York City, Iceland, and Europe. And when I was in Iceland, this was in the middle of the winter. I was just kind of walking through towns and found myself a little bit lost. And the people there were like super friendly, the local, and they saw me just walking on the streets, and someone weighed me down and gave me a ride. Usually that sounds kind of dangerous, but people were so friendly. And the person who just basically drove me around town and showed me all the good places that locals goes, and then introduced me to his friends. And then I had a spectacular week and just meeting all this like random nice people. So that was super awesome. Hopefully that can give you guys an idea and about who I am. And thank you for having me. All right. And that's the end of the question. Thank you.
So thank you so much. This was such a wonderful opportunity. I'm so grateful for everyone who helped make Kinder Garden a real book that's out in the world. And I hope that you show kindness wherever you go.